If there is a message for us today, I believe it is to learn to live from our heart in love. These short lessons, hopefully, will help to inspire you to live with purpose, love passionately, and inspire others. We are the change agent our world needs. I'm Helen Toews. Step into the river today with me to explore the mysteries of God. They are not hidden from us, but for us to discover. Well, I am absolutely delighted that everyone's here. I real, really want to, where am I here? I'm going to pin me for a minute. I'm just going to pin me. I really want to take a little bit of time to share a little bit tonight. This week's been a little goofy for me. We've had the Canadian Thanksgiving, which is really kind of fun. We have spent now 6 months on the Lake of the Woods for the first time in just like one fell swoop without having it to interrupt it for anything. So it's been a little bit of a culture change now to come back into city life, but delighted to do that because the season does change and where we get to visit and do things with other friends is really quite fun. But we're here anyway. The week was kind of goofy in that where there was my daughter-in-law had to go to San Diego, so she missed out on all the traditions of the weekend. So I ended up with five young. I call them boys, but they're all boys in their 50s. They're sometime I may have to catch up with the reality that they're actually young men, but I just call them my boys. And so we always have a great time when we're together. It's tradition, but it's also tradition to close up the cottage. So it's been you don't have the same quiet time, in a setting like that, or even just pulling away to just sit in the silence. It has to be very intentional, which it has to be intentional anyway. But this week was different, and so every time I set myself to be in the silence and to just spend time with the Lord, it was very unusual in that I felt like he was just talking to me all week about stuff like one thing I'd be reading. I had my a lot of books there I was putting away and packing up, and I'd open something and I'd get lost for a little while, and they were just all subjects, but the subjects all this week had to do with time. And I have an actual the system. The way I work is that when I have subjects that I'm studying, I do these deep dives into the subjects. I love to study. I love to read, and I open up files so that I don't get buried under details, and I just enjoy the process. And so I had this folder on time, and it was such a fun week thinking about it because I've been studying on. Actually, I started the study on what if for our What If Chronicles course when we did the 20 what was it, 22 weeks or 24 weeks of the What If Chronicles, and posing the challenge, what if. And I had this file folder that says, what if there's no such thing as time? And the more I've studied it, the more I would probably teach it from that angle, because I truly believe that time is a construct for Earth, for this time, for while we're here. And I've got a lot of supporting science to go with it, but that's not really what I came across this week. And I thought I'd like to just share that with you. It's not hours of talking, but they were just of interest, and I'm hoping they'll be of interest to you as well. And then after I share a little bit of that, I would like to rewind the reel a bit and look at the last few weeks. How are we doing with the subjects that we've been studying? So just for fun, if you'll just track with me for a little bit, the title is I'm thinking it's about time, and really time is so precious, isn't it? Time is so precious. I often will say that it is one of the most valuable things once it's spent, and I don't know if this is a cliche but I truly believe it. Once it's spent, you can't get it back. You can spend money and you can make more money, but time, once it's spent or wasted, which is for me much worse, you just can't get it back. So it's really, really precious. Time is really, really precious. And time, to me too, is a concept that allows us to understand and quantify the progression of events and changes, not just in our life, but actually in the universe. So it's a much, much bigger subject that I'm going to talk about tonight. It's described as a continuum in which, events occur apparently in irreversible succession. But you know what? Now we're finding out that not everything is irreversible. There are things that are reversible, and that is going to be for a deeper dive into this subject. In physics, time is a dimension in which events occur in a linear sequence and can be affected by factors like speed and gravity, as explained in Einstein's theory of relativity. And in everyday life, time is essential for organizing activities, understanding change, measuring lifespan of people, objects, and processes. So time is really, I think, a construct, something that we use. It's no big deal. We use it for those reasons. There are a lot of common sayings, right, about times, like idioms that use the word time. Time flies. Time is money. How many of you have heard a stitch in time saves nine, right? Meaning take care of a problem early and you can prevent it from getting bigger. There's a saying that says, time heals all wounds. Does it? In the nick of time. Don't you love that? Better late than never. Time and tide wait for no one. Time, only time will tell. There's so many things. We use the word all the time. Time out, kill time. Now, don't do that. On borrowed time, time after time, a matter of time, waste of time, and all those. Anyway, tonight I want to share those thoughts that appear to be random, but I believe that will touch someone's life here tonight, or someone that will be listening at another time. Because I wanted to say, make time count. It's really important, and the pun is intended. I watched a short video this week about what 17 seconds actually enables in our life. And it's by Dr. Paul Winters, and he's a neurologist. He said that there's a law in physics that says energy vibrating at a certain frequency will attract the same energy, and in just 17 seconds, thought will start to gain momentum. And I thought, whoa, okay, so I have a thought, and if I keep that thought for 17 seconds, well, what happens? Well, our life energy begins with our thoughts. Everything begins with a thought. Everything we've created ever, you look around you, you look at your life, it started with a thought. Our energy begins for absolutely everything. And our thoughts are the first step in our creative sequel. First a thought, then that thought produces a feeling, and then that creates an emotion. Now, we all know that. So this is true that when we release thoughts, positive or negative, when we release one for 17 seconds, and then we continue for another 17 seconds and another in 68 seconds. That's what this is about. A momentum is begun, and it attracts the exact thing you're sending into the field of consciousness around you. Our thoughts send out a signal that when that signal finds its likeness, it brings you to the very thing you are manifesting from your thought. And I listened to that and I went, that is so powerful. Anything that can happen that powerful in 68 seconds, like that's just over a minute. Actually, it expands and it attracts what our emotion is sending out. And when we go that process from thought to feeling to emotion, we develop a feeling to it, and that feeling, as it comes to emotion, actually is the energy. I use emotion, energy in motion. So imagine this. You have a situation that causes you some kind of concern. For instance, and this is really one of the easiest for many of us to relate to, is when we're driving, right? We're not all sort of cool and collected all the time when we're driving. Now, hopefully we all have a normal set point within us that is, emotionally calm and content. I know that's really become my general way of being. It's just a knowing inside that everything is what it is. And it's a place where you don't get concerned or anxious, and like even a little person getting upset, you roll with it, you embrace it, and it isn't a big concern. But now you're in a car and somebody cuts you off and flips you the finger, or you're sitting at a red light and it seems forever, and you're already late for work. You may just leave that place of contentment and slip into frustration. I don't know. I've seen it happen. Even get angry. What if those two things happen at once? Boy, the guy cutting you off and the red light. That can escalate a few things. Now you get to your meeting and you explain with passion your frustrating drive into work. And then later on that day, you go home and you share it with your family. What's happened to your baseline of peace and contentment? 5-second occurrence robbed you of it all. Now, I'm not saying this has happened to you, but it's possible. So now you go to a grocery store and in front of you, there's a checkout. And there's a newcomer to our country that doesn't understand our currency right in front of you. And there's a newbie behind the counter who thinks it's their job to teach them how the money system works. And now you're completely frustrated. Not only do they have a basket full of groceries, you just went in for a bottle of milk, one bottle of milk. And you find yourself leaning into the motion of frustration or anger. And some will say, well, that's no one's fault. But is it? What energy, what emotion did we bring into the store with you? And if this neurological study is accurate, then we might be at fault here, or at least have contributed to the negative encounter. Energy attracts like energy. Energy in motion, your emotion creates. I put it all into the negative, but let me tell you, those 17 seconds plus 17 seconds, 17 seconds into 68 seconds in the positive is how we generate and we actually create, because that energy finds itself and actually creates, just like the frustration created that whole scenario and situation and changed you. It happens in the opposite way as well. The next thing that I saw this week was a article on the 20-second hug. Now, maybe you may all be experts on this. I know that Ed and I practice it a lot. A 20-second hug can have several positive effects on both emotional and physical well-being. You know what it does? It boosts your oxytocin levels. You know, oxytocin is called the love hormone or the bonding. It's actually released in a woman that gives birth, and it's released, I believe, for specifically for it, sometimes called the mothering hormone as well, to embrace that new life that has come. It's released during physical touch, like hugging. And a longer hug, like 20 seconds or more, can significantly increase these oxytocin levels, and it helps to strengthen feelings of connection and trust. And if you have never on purpose spent 20 seconds in a hug, because we're really good at giving a hug, letting go, and going on, but set your clock, 20 seconds. Boom. But it goes on a lot slower. But you know what it does? It reduces stress, anxiety. It can lower levels of cortisol, stress hormone. It calms the nervous system. Imagine what a 20-second hug does to an upset child. It improves mood. It lowers blood pressure, promotes relaxation, it strengthens bonds. You know, a 20-second hug can do more than just provide comfort. It can offer meaningful and emotional benefits, promoting closeness. You know, I went to one of the churches that I had gone to and had listened to a sermon one time. The sermon was about not touching or getting close because you know what? They might have a demon. I I was absolutely aghast. And that I thought of the number of times those kind of touching, those kind of conversations you'd get in because people were afraid of transmitting demonic. And you know what, team? It's not possible. That's not possible. You cannot stand in love, in the power of God, in Christ consciousness, and have any concern at all. You are the most powerful being on earth. Let's look at what's written about Jesus, right? He touched the leper. Was he concerned about getting leprosy? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't worry about a 20-second hug with a leper. He'd just watch him, all his the leper come into divine order, divine health. He raised the dead. He wasn't concerned that Lazarus was unclean. Do you think maybe when Lazarus came out of the tomb hopping up because he was all wrapped up and helped to get all of the grave clothes, he was dead? Did he care about what the law said or the people thought? I don't think so. Because love is the most victorious, that unconditional divine love that we walk in can't, it conquers all. It truly, truly conquers all. Think about it for a minute. If you hug someone for that length of time, how would we change our world? Well, everybody just found that one person. Anyway, I'm just such a proponent. Now, we are energy beings, right? And that's one of the reasons too, and I know I keep saying this, heart-brain coherence is so important. But for the one that might be listening this week that isn't on the call tonight, heart-brain coherence refers to a state where the heart and the brain operate harmonious, synchronized manner, creating a sense of emotional balance, mental clarity, and achieves the state that can positively affect both your physical and emotional well-being. It's a 3-minute heart-brain coherence technique. And it's one I know we are all on this call very familiar with, but it's so critical. It is actually so critical. And we practice it by finding a quiet place, sitting comfortably, focusing on our breathing, taking 5, 6 deep breaths per minute. Inhale, exhale for 5 seconds. And we focus on our heart area while we're breathing. We shift our attention to the area around our heart. So imagine your breath is flowing in and out, giving a calming effect, and you're having a heart connection with your heart. And now we generate that positive emotion of love, appreciation, compassion, gratitude. To sustain this practice, keep the focus for 3 minutes. That's all. That's it. That's all. Practicing heart-brain coherence regularly, even for just a few minutes, can have lasting effects. See, 2 things happen during this time. We have 2 systems that become 0.1 hertz, like the frequency in our body. And when it does that, it affects all the organs in our body. The second level of this comes from the platform for deeper states of regulation, intuition, super memory, super cognition, super learning, remote viewing. And, I also read it's the optimum frequency of dolphins and whale in their natural frequency of the earth. So we come in line with so much. I read it opens us up to mastery. Now, I had to sit and think about that. What does that mean to me? And you know what? To me, it says that because I stay in the flow of heart-brain coherence in that state of the 0.1 hertz, I have access to higher frequency that will begin to come how I want to live. Then I found out it's the frequency of the song of the earth. Do you know that every planet has a song? We can ride on the frequency of the earth, and a positive emotion will do it. Staying for 3 minutes, emotions like love, gratitude, different expressions, we communicate with the universe. It has passive benefits as well because it creates superhuman immune response and releases stress. Greg Braden said in a seminar that I took a couple of weeks ago, he said, "We are more than we have ever been told. We have powers or forces that transcend perceived human limits." And heart-brain coherence is one of those things that line us up with those powers and forces that transcend perceived human limits. When we do this, when we practice our frequency that measures the 0.1, I want to bring up one more thought about that. We bring the magnetic force of our hearts into coherence with the electric force of our brains, and the frequency is measured. And it's also the frequency that brings us into unity of coherence with the earth. Think about that. Think about what happens in time. Our electromagnetic field is in sync with the Earth's electromagnetic system. What you release from this place has the power to connect with anywhere on Earth. I'm talking about spending 3 minutes aligning ourselves. And what it does when we release our intention into that coherence, we release we release from that place, and I'm going to say it again, the power to connect with anywhere on earth. And that is why a mom will connect with a son or daughter in another country if they're in trouble or need. There are hundreds of stories of people on the battlefield and someone understanding that they are in need and will pray safety or protection at a time and come back with amazing stories. And that's why we practice and we say we're holding someone in our heart for a particular purpose. And this is not just a saying, it's a reality. Maggie, when you called or wrote today and said you may not be on the call, it was so easy to go into that intention, seeing you whole, seeing you in divine health. And I know that we do that with each other all the time. And we're increasing in the power of that. And it's becoming real. Like it's totally becoming our MO, as it were. We can and we do cooperate with the systems of our frequency, and it does make a difference. It's not just a theory or a hopeful idea. And it actually has science behind it, which I happen to really enjoy. Our feelings are stronger than our thoughts. You know that? That's why this 3 minutes is so important. Our mind, our mental focus serves as a target, and that is what triggers our feelings and emotions. And our mind is capable of generating the electrical field up to 3 meters, but our heart up to 300 meters. It's the power of the electromagnetic force of our heart-brain coherence, and it's unlimited. When we think about something, we actually target the area, which is our desire. And when we have corresponding feelings and emotion, not just the thought, our feelings and our emotions is what pulls the trigger for the manifestation of what you're believing. So it isn't all just about thought. It's about putting the sequence together. Have the initial thought, what you're believing, what you see, what your desire is. And then when you bring in and you allow the corresponding feelings and emotion into that, it's like shooting at a target. And that is what brings the manifestation of what we're believing. The force of that emotion affects those around us. We are all linked by our location in the magnetic field, even though you may not be in the vicinity at all of another person. It still works. It works. Imagine this. You're in the wilderness. You're separated from your friends. Doesn't matter where you are. You can be in Africa or in Europe somewhere, in Asia, Canada, the US. Doesn't matter where you are. You're somewhere and you are separated. And you can panic. You can invite fear. You can become angry or frightened. Or you can think about your friends, and you can think about your situation, and you can think about the fact that you are never separated from the greatest force in the universe, the being that created you, God, Father, reality number one. You are always one. We are always one. We're not only not separated from God, we're not separated from each other. It takes time to actually make these truths our own. You are actually never separated from anyone. There's 8 billion, I'm told, people, humans that are created on this earth. Do you know that we are one? We may not know each other personally, but the reality is we are all energy, not and not matter, and energy is connected quantumly. Now imagine you already know that you have an electromagnetic field, that is a superconductor. And do you know what that is? It's our body. It releases the electromagnetic frequency. And as you release it into the field. And that field is where all possibility exists. And the other thing that happens is it is transmuted and it can reach the intended subjects. No cell towers needed. You know, everyone's concerned about the uh, I don't know what it's called, but when the cell towers go down. Do you know what? We need to set our reality in the understanding that we are the field of all possibility, and that we transmute and we can reach the intended subjects. And how about practicing now before there's a crisis? How about setting our mind, setting our purpose and our understanding to realize how amazingly powerful we are? How about setting it to the 3-minute heart brain coherence to get us into that place? It's important that we truly understand that to manifest something, we have to be aware of our emotional state and not let go of the feelings. If a thought becomes negative, shut the thoughts down. Use your imagination to live in the manifestation of what you believe. It's one of the best ways. So imagine you're out in the wilderness and it's pretty scary. How about using your imagination to live in the manifestation of what you are believing to happen, which is a rescue, which is to be home, which is whatever it is. Your imagination in your thought process to that, allowing yourself to come into the manifestation, to feel it really happening, is the best thing you can do. Everything we're exploring right now is about our consciousness, our divinity in particular, our relationship to God, and our alignment to Christ consciousness. And that is why when you're in heart-brain coherence and you ask your heart a question, you can trust it. When you're in heart-brain coherence and you put a thought out of your heart's desire, you can trust that it will be met with the answer. Your heart is reaching into the field of consciousness all the time, and the heart of God is where the answers are. And that is how we can live all the time. Okay, here's another thing that I listened to. I love this one. This, what was the name? His name was Neil Donald Walsh in his talk. He said, it was a 2-minute talk I listened to. Remember, I'm fitting things into cottage life here. God always says yes. I thought, this is really, really cool. Would it surprise you if you heard that God only has one answer for you when you pray? Growing up in a church culture with going to so many prayer meetings that the number is staggering, we would often say that when we pray, God has 3 answers. He's going to say yes, he's going to say no, or he's going to say wait a while. And I realized, boy, we constructed that. And so when this Neil Donald Walsh said in his talk, God always says yes, he said, the universe has one response. Yes. He says, yes. Everything that you think, you say, or do, the answer is yes. And the positive side is God never says no. The negative side is he always says yes. So let's just look at that for a minute. You see, we're in a system that if you're on this call, you've heard about it and you've practiced it and you understand it, but you sometimes lose focus, and that's our intention, right? We know how to set an intention. We know how to live from the answer and not for the answer. How I'm pretty intense about that, I realize. But more that this focus is becoming more and more important, it's a greater part of my being. And I'm becoming a little obsessively focused for all the reasons that I'm going to review here with you. God only says yes because he's the universal system that we have been placed in. The universe, the kingdom of heaven, the field, Christ consciousness, whatever term you use. Not only has he one answer, he can only have one answer. The universe that we've been placed in is subject to the laws of our creator. I call it Father because it's from this creator I was seeded into the world. I call it God. For there to be a creation, there had to be a creator. And right now, God fits that understanding. I have an intimate God who is good, who is unconditional love. He's all knowing in all things. He is everywhere. We actually talk ourselves out of what we desire to think what we need in our life. So let's take a moment here. We've been placed for a purpose, and that is to express God on the earth. For me, that the greatest model is Christ, who left us with a profound message to be Christ and to do what he did. To become the Christed one is another expression. We see the life of Jesus in our scriptures. Did he lack anything? No. Was there anything he could not master or perform? No. He said, we are one with the Father. And what we can do, all that has been shown to us. Is there anything that's shown us in the kingdom of God that is not available to us? No. And you know what? It would be impossible. So when we pray, God, I need money, God says yes. If you say, I'm sick and tired of this job, God says yes. I need your help. God says yes. What's he supposed to say? Are you looking for an argument? Your prayer states what you want. So what you do is create the experience of wanting because you're talking yourself out of what you really want or what you are really what your desire is. When you say, I am sick and tired of this job, he agrees with you. He knows you're sick and tired of this job. Do you want God to agree with sick and tired? When you say, God, I need, do you want God to agree with need? I need your help. Yeah. Your prayer states what you want. What you do is create the experience of wanting because you're talking yourself out of what you really want. That's what we've done for so long. You say, I'm believing for finances, a mate, a new car, a job, healing, etc., all good things. The key is you're believing for what you lack, and God agrees with you. And the universe has it for you when you agree with the heart of God. We have earthly models, even though God never ordained kingship. That's what man constructed. It's a construct. We have the example of kingdom life. Let me ask you, does the monarchy in any nation need something that cannot be supplied if the servant is assigned to go get it, whether it's food or money or any situation? No, he doesn't need anything. He would never say need. Does he sit there in angst and whine, or does he give a direct order? When he gives the order, does he for 1 minute wonder if the thing he sent for was really to be given him? You know what? The sovereign knows. If he wants food, he knows where it is. It can be specific. He knows it will arrive because the rules in the palace say the servant will bring it, will provide it. He sees the end result in his mind and he sends out the message, and the message is fulfilled and delivered. Prayer meetings can be exhausting. Asking repeatedly for the thing you are lacking is a sure way for lack to be your portion. Imagine you're in a building program for a new building and you keep asking for something. It puts you in a place of God agreeing your need for what you are lacking. I'm hoping you get it because it's upside down. How powerful are we? What we think, what we say, what we do has a positive response from heaven, and it's yes. So let me tell you, let me give you a couple of examples. Let's just bring it totally into the positive. Don't think about what you want, think about what you have. So your heart's desire is for a new job. Think, imagine, dream, see what it looks like. While you're dreaming, what does your day look like in your new job? What are you wearing in your new job? What will you contribute to the job? Take time to set your desire before God. Then you set those thoughts to God and thank Him, because then those thoughts will find what is already prepared for you and the manifestation comes. Your heart desire is for a vacation or an assignment to another country, whatever. See yourself on the plane. What are you wearing? Are you bringing gifts? Where will you be staying? Can you see yourself where you'll be staying? Who will you be greeting? What will you pack? Can you fall asleep in the room that you're going to be in on the vacation? Now, make it alive. See it. Step into your heart's desire. Then give that to God. Find the emotion of gratefulness for the supply that is already prepared for you. He gives you the desire of your heart. Stay in the reality of your desire. If your heart's desire is for love, imagine that person that you can share your life with. In your dream, in your thoughts, in your emotions, spend the day with them. Imagine where you will be together. See yourself with that person. See the details. When you send out the energy in motion that will match what is already there waiting for you, send out your gratitude to God for what is, will be attracted. You will attract it. It will come. It's totally the opposite of so much that we've thought we were doing the right thing. If think about yourself as an energy body. Don't ever say I don't have time, because you do. It's your choice. We choose, and we can do so much on purpose. Do you know that there's 60 to 120 seconds, 1 minute or two, if you drive a car and you're driving in a city, you had a lot of time in red lights. The average duration of a stop sign is 60 to 120 seconds, depending on the factors. So the average stop then gives you time. What can you do in these times? How about just breathe? Instead of being frustrated or listening to the horn that's behind you, one of the most powerful stress releasing things you can do is breath with purpose. Take a one breath in slowly, hold it for a second of two, and then breathe it out forcibly. It's something you can do. Do you know that small modality of breath work actually creates a level of peace within a short time, releases anxiety, and realigns you to the present, to the purpose of your day in Christ consciousness. Take every thought captive. It matters more than anything. And that's been my week of time of little segments of time, whether it's 17 seconds or 3 minutes. And when I look at all the things put together, I realize, oh, golly, it doesn't take much time at all to set my mind in Christ consciousness and release the purpose of whatever it is to God, to the universe, so it will match up what's already there waiting for me and bring it in together. And we can live that way. We don't have to find that mountaintop retreat and leave the world for, 6 months and study with the monks. We can actually use the time that we have in the little segments that we have. And we can change our worlds. We can completely change our worlds. So I enjoyed sharing that with you. That was actually quite a powerful week, because it affirmed so many of the things that we've been putting together. And I'm going to leave it right there. Going to leave it right there, and I'm going to come back into the room with everyone. Here we are. Nice to see new faces. And I do want to ask you how you're doing. Was that interesting or for you? Was it encouraging? I hope. Good. All right. How are you doing with the last few meetings that we've had? Anything come to mind as we're talking about time? Oh, Caroline, there you are. Nice to see you. Susan,
Hello.
hi.
This isn't about time as much. I've got so behind with all this, and it's a bit like housework. If you don't do it, actually, there is a point where you look around and go, oh my gosh, and you need to spend time. And I'm at the oh my gosh point. But I do want to say that there's been a few things. All I just wanted to say was there's been a few things in the last week or two. It's kind of incredible. And that is things that I am almost subconsciously thinking positively about at the moment, while I haven't got time to sit down and do it, which actually you just said we do have time, so that's fine. But I'm noticing, and it's like, I don't know whether to be annoyed or not. I'm not going to be. It would be a very horrible thing to be annoyed, but I'm just saying my human nature. And that is like things that I'm positively mind moving for myself. There's people around me getting them. So I've come to a conclusion, these people have nothing to do with mind intentioning. They're not even interested. In fact, if I tried to talk to them about it, they'd reject it. And yet what I'm doing is actually they're getting things. This is incredible. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I was longing to tell you that and see if you've heard of that one before. Okay, I'm signing out because I haven't actually got anything more to say. Make the most of it.
Oh, you are such a delight. No, you have some of the most interesting experiences. But while I have your attention, are you coming to the US?
Thank you. We are leaving on the 2nd of November just to be there for their election. Just joking. We don't want to be there for the election, but it seems like we will be. And I'm there for 2 weeks with my husband and 2 sons, and we're doing this road trip. And you know what? It's just got too complicated. So I'm going to come over in April, to Winnipeg.
Okay, I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm
on it too. Mind intentioning. Okay, so no, I'm sadly to say I won't be able to do it this time. But thank you.
All right. Well, we love you so much. So cool.
Same. You're my family.
You, you are so family. Uh, Todd, Elizabeth.
Yeah, so that was quite good. I love because I have a friend who a long time ago said, never say you're too busy. He and a bunch of his friends, his men's group, agreed that we just, I'm crazy busy. And there are TED Talks about that because you bring it into, they're not going to say it quite in the same framework, but you bring it into reality, right? Call that which is not as though it is. And you kind of, you stopped me in my tracks when you said the answer is always yes. And I went, oh, yeah. Because the things I most feared did come about in many ways in my life. The things I concentrated on that, oh no, I don't want that. Dear Lord, please don't. Um, I heard once psychologically, and we've got enough counselors in this group that can back me up or correct me, but your mind doesn't hear the word don't. And I know one of our pastors one time, he was carrying some the safety frames for a trampoline to put them up in the attic. And as he was walking up the steps, he had overloaded his arms and he was going, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it on the van. So of course he dropped it on the van and broke the windshield because your mind doesn't hear don't. I think, Helen, I'm going to really chew on that for a while because it has to change the way that I think, sometimes even pray, because I do think you attract what you focus on. That I've gotten in concept. But when I get in that situation where I'm uncomfortable with a situation, the more time I give the situation, the more focus I give it, the more I bring it about. But to your point, I need money. He goes, yep, you do. You need it. Instead of, I've got plenty. So I love that. But I wanted to share just a quick one that you asked about the last couple of weeks. And it's about centering on who we are in the moment. There was a moment last Thursday. I don't know what it was. I think I told you about it. But one of my peers at work, we were meeting over lunch, which was a one-on-one. So it was a working lunch. And right in the middle of the list of things that we needed to talk about, she just went, oh, my ring. And her diamond was gone. And I mean, it was instant. She couldn't focus on anything else. Our meeting was blown. And of course I care. I'm like, okay, well, let's go. And so I said, I'll take care of the lost and found stuff while you go back to our office area and blah, blah, blah. Well, she couldn't find it anywhere. And I could see how upset she was about it. And there was a part of me going, hey, we really need to nail this stuff down. I know your ring's safe. I just knew in my heart. But there was a moment right there where I do believe it was the day after this or the day of our river. But I said to myself, wait a minute, be who you are. And so I stopped and I stood up and I walked over to her and she now has 4 people like crawling around on the floor, looking under cubes and in her purse and stuff for her ring. And I just grabbed her and I grabbed her by the shoulders and I gave her a slight hug. We've been friends for years. And I just whispered in her ear, I said, your ring is safe. You're going to go home and you're going to find it. And I said, you're going to go home and you're going to check your pockets and you're going to find it. And pockets came to me because I saw a sweater. She had a knitted sweater and, I used to sell diamonds. Those get snagged on sweaters all the time. So I was like, check your pockets while she was there. So she checked them 3 times and I'm like, check them again. Anyway, long story short, she got home and it was in the pocket of the jacket she had worn the day before, just within minutes. But I knew in that moment that I had to speak it so that one, she could calm down a little bit and not focus on the fear. And she was even telling the story when her husband bought it. He said, I've insured this thing every which way you can. The only thing that's not covered is loss.
Oh,
And so she immediately went there, and I could see it. So stepping in, and just like you said, that heart-brain coherence, sorry, um, heart-brain coherence. And I think I did it without knowing I did it, but just stepped into who I am in the moment and turned everything around. I'm not taking credit, but it was calling it into what I knew in my knower, meaning down here, was it's not lost.
that's right. Yeah. That is so good. That is so good. And I'm glad you spoke it out. Ed had a situation with his brother, the same, where he spoke out about a ring and told him he was going to find it in his bag, in a bag that he had taken apart twice already, and knew that it was there. We have to go with our hearts. Our hearts are so that whole heart brain coherence and understanding the power of who we are is absolutely amazing. But now we have to do it. It's like all of what I was sharing tonight. We have to utilize those 17 seconds or those 3 minutes or the breathing in the car. It has to become our practice. When we brought up the subject on the Yod He Vav He, realizing that is who we are. It is implanted in us because we are God. He has made us to be him here. And when we actually come to the reality of that, everything will change, but we will never come to the end of it if we don't practice the reality of it. And and so many of the things, like one of the things in God saying yes, and I've used this example before. It's a coaching term, but you cannot teach an athlete to move toward the reverse of an idea. You cannot, when teaching my daughter my daughter was a natural athlete. She was a gymnast and a high performance gymnast, and competed at high levels and wanted to ski. And so I'm teaching her to ski. And I said, Sue, keep your weight on your downhill ski. She was maneuver, just doing the Christies down the hill. And she said every time she did it her way, putting her weight on the back ski, she fell because that's a natural instinct. Putting it to the forward doesn't feel good, but it's the way to do it. And she'd get mad at me and she'd say, just tell me what I'm doing wrong. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm telling you what to do. Because if I tell you continually what you're doing wrong, you will emotionally and physically move toward that idea, whether you know it or not. She knew all those coaching things. She was a high performance athlete, but she chose to get angry. It was a fun day on the slopes. But that's the truth. We cannot move toward the reverse of an idea. And so when we set our heart, our intention, our desire, we set it to what we know, not to our lack. And that's where we have really missed it a lot.
You
I'm preaching it again.
you just nailed it for me. You just gelled it. In fact, we were speaking about a cultural shift in our part of the company where there's lots of measurements and metrics, and we focus on areas of opportunity, which is the nice way to say, what's the problem? In fact, when I do a presentation, when I'm trying to get funding for something or capital spending, they often will say, start with the problem statement. And I've had this reaction that I couldn't put to words. Well, I mean, I could put it to words, but I didn't have the science behind it until the universe behind it until you just said this tonight, where it really landed. So the penny dropped. as they say in Britain, my old British boss. The penny dropped. I need to just turn around and go, I'm not trying to solve a problem. I'm trying to improve what we're already doing well.
Good. Exactly.
And turn it around and start coaching people to not their areas of opportunity, but here's what you're doing well. Let's focus on that.
That's right.
So thank you.
And then when we step into what we're doing well, it's really easy to take a new step or a improve on that one, because you have the confidence now to the next move. Whereas if the opposite actually just puts you back all the time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. Cool. So many, we're living a spiritual life, but it's very, very practical for our earth existence. And it's quite miraculous when you put it all together.
Can I just sneak in quick? I
Mhm.
just want to thank you for this conversation because you've just brought clarity to what I need to do at my workplace. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good. Thank you, Todd. So good. Miss Pat.
Yes. I was needing clarification. I want to get this, and it's really new, right? And I'm there like, okay, let me get this more. So can you elaborate a little bit more on God says yes? Because
Yeah.
this is really, woo, it's like it's really a new concept.
Would anybody like to speak into it? Sometimes listening from another point of view helps.
Yeah,
Oh.
let me try, if I may, because the penny dropped for me tonight on that. God says yes to what you're focusing on because you have the power of creation in you and in the very breath, the ruah, right? So what you're saying out loud or in the spirit to him, you're creating. So when you're focusing on the lack, you're increasing the lack. When you're focusing on the need for something, you're increasing the need, not the solution. You focus on the solution, you speak the solution, you speak the result. I love this sports analogy. I love how, for basketball fans, Shaquille O'Neal was statistically horrible at free throws. He didn't focus on that. He could have spent hours and hours and hours trying to get better at free throws, trying to fix his elbow or whatever it was, and make maybe 3-4 more points a game in free throws. Or he could stay focused on what he should be doing with his size and his talent under the boards and just get rebounds and layups. And we've got to, as a culture, stop focusing on the missing pieces and stop praying about the missing pieces. Stop priestcrafting over our family what they're doing wrong and what they need to fix about themselves.
Yeah.
And pray their covenant, who they were created to be. I don't know if that helps, but that's the language I get.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I hope that helped. Pat, if we continue to tell God what we don't have, what do you expect God to do? And I don't mean you, but what do we expect of him? We keep telling him we need this, we have this. He is not our heavenly butler. He is not a vending machine. So what we're understanding is that in God, who is in everything, he is in, and he has created everything good for us, is already available for us. And there's no conditions to it. He's not waiting for us to be good enough or strong enough or intelligent enough or well enough or anything enough. We are enough. And we're his child, and he has the whole kingdom for us. So for us to go to him and say, I need, the reality he wants us to understand is it's there. You don't need, it's not something you need, it's there. And he wants us to stand as a son and say, thank you for what you've provided, nothing missing, nothing lacking, and it's mine as a son. And that son is one with the Father, and we are one. We are one. We are one. And so it all actually already is ours. When we change our thought process to that, allow our emotions and our feelings to come in line because they are the power behind it. Our gratitude, our aligning with the unconditional love of God is what releases what is already there for us. We've had it backwards. And
Yeah, no,
and
I understand that part. Yeah, it just was like, how just the yes part. We're so used to the, well, I'm not sure what, is going to happen there. But yeah, no, I understand that part. I had an interesting thing happen of late, and uh, it could have gone in a really bad direction, but my mind went to love. And I just, I thought, no, this is love. I'm walking in love. I'm living in love. I am God's love. And at first, I was almost felt sick. I thought, I don't feel good about this. And then I just totally changed, totally changed direction. Yeah, I understand that part. So that's good. Okay. And on a positive note too, I didn't share earlier, but the surgeon called yesterday, not just Colin's doctor, but his surgeon, and affirmed that things are all looking really good for Colin.
oh,
So that's really nice to hear. And yeah, and he said, not to worry. And I thought, oh, that's nice that the doctor
that's
said.
so awesome.
But yeah,
That's
he
so-
said that everything looks good. So praise the Lord.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's encouraging. Miss Susan. Here.
Thank you so much, Helen. This is right in line with where I've been the last couple of months. And I was in an ascension group and we had in a council of heavenly beings. And one of them was the spirit of time. And we were having we were called to an assignment and we were working on it with this council that had people who had formerly been on planet Earth, and then these heavenly beings that were with us, and then we were there. And the first of the beings that came forward when we were working on this assignment was the spirit of time. And we knew who he was, and we knew his name, but he was chained. He had like it almost looked like mail, like it almost looked like a like armor, but everything was locked. He could not put his arms out. He could not reach out. He was bound. But he could speak with us, and we said, we value you, and we spent time talking to him about how we value him, especially how we value him in our dimension. And then one of us asked him, like, why are you so bound? What's binding you? And he started to almost weep. And he said, because you've bound me. And everyone just kind of took a big gasp in. And he said, because I'm not understood, people try to bind and control me. And what they don't understand is they can do it. And so as we continued to speak with him and exchange, mostly it felt like just an exchange of love, an exchange of acceptance. And he did not understand how he understands our power. He understood how strong and how full of might we are and how equipped we are. And he could not understand why we would not work with him, why we would bind him instead of loose him. And so as we went through, and we met several times, but at the last time we met, we did release for our part, we released what was binding him, what we had put on him. And he then in turn released us. And the tremendous difference in the way I now look at my time is outrageous. To change the perspective and to change how I look at how I'm not spending time. I wouldn't even use the word manage. I'm allowing time to flow because he is very fluid and very liquid, but we don't want to be part of that free flow because we're not accustomed to it. We can't feel like we're controlling it, even though we couldn't control it if we wanted to. But this tonight was so good for me to be able to take more pieces of that experience and then fit them in with the framework that you gave us tonight. So thank you so much.
Wow. Wow. That was quite a powerful encounter.
It
Really?
was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as you're talking, I wonder, like I'm learning from you right now. I think one of the words would be that we need to cooperate with time,
Yes.
right?
Yes, that's what we were learning is how to both open the gates and then, I like every one of us made an intention to open our heart gate to him and then open the doors that are behind the gates and say, let's get this exchange going on a heart level instead
Right,
of just a talking level, because
right.
when we could see him, we could see each other and we could see something of what this situation was that we had never seen before and never known before.
Sure, sure. Uh, yeah, I feel we could go so many directions here. When I love what you shared. Thank you for sharing that. When we cooperate with time in the way that was just tonight, we actually enhance our life right now, right?
Right.
This is our a part of eternity that we're spending here, and it almost brings a directive that is to me it has more joy in it than trying to deal with the whole concept of universal understanding of time and the science behind that. So I love what you're saying. I think this is outstanding. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thanks for letting me share that because I thought not that I've been wrestling with it, but I'm so much more conscious
Right.
of the different way to relate to time and let time relate to me than it had ever been before.
So good. So good. There's a respect too that I'm hearing. Like there's a
Mhm.
respect to it, right?
Tremendous.
To
Yes. Yes.
respect the
Yes.
time that we have. Wow. Thank
And
you.
he
Okay.
and he was so wanting to engage and at one point he said, "But you don't understand. I'm here to serve you.
Right.
I'm here." And there was such a breakdown of a lot of walls. It was like there's so many people have judged what time is and how it should be. And it was just something it was supernatural. It was otherworldly, but it was
Of course.
amazing. So
Oh,
thank you, because you really brought a lot of that down into this dimension.
oh, well, thank you. And I thank you. You're the best. Thanks, Susan.
I only get to keep what I give away.
That's right. Gina girl, did you disappear?
Uh, I don't think so. Am I there?
Yeah, here you are.
Well, first of all, Pat, I just wanted to respond to you and say that whatever we put our attention to, whatever feeling and thought you have about something, God has to say yes because it goes against his very nature to say no. So, you create your own reality by your thoughts, fueled by your feelings, and released by your emotions. So if they're negative, they are. If they're positive, they are. And God agrees with both of those things because it's not in his nature to say no. So when you think about it in that simple term, you're the one, the question is, what are your thoughts? How are you renewing your mind to what is the word of God, right? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? And then what are your emotions? Because God's going to say yes to that. That's how we co-create with him. I don't know if that helps, but anyway, my 2 cents. So I turn the page. Thanks, Helen. That was great. This past week, I've been practicing in my meditation. Trying to hold my mind in that liminal space between sleep and wakefulness.
Wow.
Because it's there that I can hear so well and hear so clearly. And my spirit is like, I don't know, attuned or something. And it's like on the moment I'm waking up, I know something. Or the second I'm going to sleep, I get it. And then I'm asleep and I'm like, what? Wait a second. So I'm really practicing staying in this liminal space between sleep and wakefulness and sleepness. And I recall thinking about it too, that Neville Goddard talks about this space.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people talk about this space of I think it's a different dimensional energy that we are in. So in that space we can hear. And I thought, yeah, I don't want to live in the mystery of God. I want to know the mystery of God. Why does it have to be a mystery? These are the things I've been asking. So wait. Oh, the mysteries of God. It sounds so holy. I'm like, that's not holy. I want to know. Right?
Yeah.
And so I want to stay awake. I want to, or asleep, both. I want to figure out what that space is and be in it and know, because I am wisdom. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I'm wisdom, mystery, goodbye. I want to know. Right. So I said all that to say, that's what I've been working on. But thank you for this 17-second thing. Because I can probably stay in that space for 17 seconds 4 times consecutively.
Yeah.
To make it 68.
Mm-hmm.
And then the beautiful thing that you said was it gains momentum at that moment, at that time.
That's right.
And I thought, okay, that's all I need is momentum. Beautiful. Because I was sort of feeling stuck and I keep falling asleep, or I keep waking up and having thoughts of the day. So I can probably do this 17-second 4-time thing, 4 iterations of that. And then I know it will increase, but I'll start there because it's the momentum I want to sit in.
Yeah.
So thank you. That really helped.
Well, you've hit a very important thing, that that theta level of bandwidth that you go into in between awake and sleep is probably the most creative time. And that we have. And when you're doing it, going into sleep, it's like the saying, a body in motion stays in motion. And that's exactly what happens. That goes into your sleep time, and you're not always aware of it. But the more you practice that, and I want to emphasize practice, because that's the only way we're going to really get into knowing these things. The more we do it, the more you'll take that and be able to be in consciousness in that in the night. Maggie's just saying it's called the night watch, and actually we do get to participate more. So that is really cool. It's something that I enjoy as well. It's awesome, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Operating. I'm just taking notes as I'm learning from everybody. Now, Abram, I haven't introduced you to everyone. I just want to introduce you and welcome you here. For those who haven't met, Abram and I have had a little bit of conversation back and forth this week, and I really do want to officially welcome you again. And I was so tickled. I know we talked about it in the chat, but I knew I was going to love you when you talked when you said that you have a name for God, because we were talking about last week's subject on the names of God. And so he wrote and said he has a name. God, am I saying it right? Godamu? Okay, Godamu. Godommu, which stands for the God of my misunderstanding. Isn't that too precious for words? That's exactly how I just thought, as we are bantering with the name of God and all of that, I realized how much until I read what you wrote, that yeah, I love that. I don't know that the name just slides off my tongue or anything, but God of my misunderstanding really touched my heart. Thank you for sharing that, and welcome. And if you unmute, then we'll hear from you.
Thank you, Helen. I don't know. I don't believe in coincidence. I do believe when you are attuned to certain things, you attract them. And here I find myself with like-minded people. And obviously, you guys are heavyweights. Don't pick light subjects. You know, like you said last week, I happened to run across the Zoom meeting concerning what if God didn't have a name. And I've actually meditated on that. And hence I came up with that I don't know who God is. My job is just to throw myself in his arms and let him hold me and tell me and teach me and inform me. And tonight's subject, time. Wow, what a deep dive. I put it again, no coincidence, synchronicity. Today I happen to, I just look at headlines. I don't read much of the news. It's just by the headlines, you can almost know what's going on, right? And one of the things I follow all the time is the Webb telescope that they launched a couple Decembers ago. And today I saw an article on it. I haven't read it yet, but that the Webb telescope sees the beginning of time. I put that link in the chat for you, Helen. Maybe you want to throw it in your folder and read it and expand on your deep dive of time. But one of the things that I've discovered, and I read a lot, and these are folks that are way more informed than I, that there are 5 mysteries in life, that even if each of us were to live 100 years and have 7 lifetimes that last that long, we will not resolve these mysteries. And they are in no particular order because I've memorized them, okay? God. You're not going to figure it out one out, sister. You're not going to figure out time. You're not going to figure out suffering. You're not going to figure out death. And you're not going to ever figure out love. There will never be a last song about love written. And hence, I think the only thing I could do is hold that, okay? Hold it, sit in it, baste in it, meditate on it, grow on it, but I'm not going to figure it out. Maybe, just maybe, in my next phase, in my spiritual phase, wherever we transcend to, whatever, if spirit goes back to its ether, maybe in that phase, the mystery will, some of it probably will be revealed a bit more. Isn't that wonderful? That I don't have to know all this stuff. I just have to sit here and listen, and maybe you teach me a little, and and that's how it goes. And I think I find that fascinating. And and I'll say this, I shared that link with you, Helen, concerning Yahweh. I don't know if you got to look at the link, you clicked on it or not, was able to open it. But this is Richard Rohr interpretation. Oh, I heard him speak. He was speaking somewhere in London, I believe. And on that particular video at an abbey, and he holds a conference in New Mexico where he brings in scientists and science and theology or religion, if you want to call it that, come together and share the bonds. That we're not enemies. And a rabbi happens to be a scientist of some sort, an engineer. He told Richard Rohr, he said, you guys have that first or third commandment wrong about thou shalt not use God's name in vain. He says, it's not that you can't say goddamn, it means that you're not even supposed to speak the name. And hence, the first scriptures, earliest scriptures that they ever found, Yahweh, as we know, is you have the consonants Y, H, W, H. And if you are, I guess, well read or whatever, you know that the A and the E where it belongs, a Hebrew scholar would know. And that you're not supposed to use your lips or your tongue when you enunciate it. Hence, Yahweh is a breath. It's an inhale and an exhale. So I'll do it for you guys. And this is my name, my second name for God. I can't even say it. So I've been saying God's name since the very first breath. It will be the last thing I say when I take my last breath in this incarnation. And I'll leave it at that. I know I found a great group here, and I hope to see you guys next week. God bless.
Okay, that's totally outstanding, and I think we've all fallen in love with you. That is. I actually love how you wound that up with that was our first breath, and it'll be our last. Right there, there is that final. Amazing. Now, the 5 things we'll never understand. I have to say I have folders on all of them, so I'll keep you up to date.
And I just wanted to say challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I think things like that, just get get us a little bit excited here. This is good. This is really
Maybe
good.
this is 6 too.
Oh, okay. What is that?
This is now I'm adding on, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe sexuality also might be one of those mysteries.
Okay, we got it. I think I have a folder on that too. This is good. And no, Abraham, I was not able to click on, there wasn't a link with it. If you could resend it, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll put it in this chat.
You guys are fun. All right. Elizabeth, are you reaching over?
Yeah, I was just wondering about adding this. I've been reading the book that you introduced us to, And I'm just so blown away by one part, lots of parts, but Todd knows. But the part where he says evolution and creation are the same thing. It's all it's consciousness, like the way we see it seems like it's a continual thing, but in oneness, it's all one. It's just the way we perceive it. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but when he said it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's us here, like in our linear, the way we see things here,
Right.
linear. But it's not, it's a oneness thing. It is all, it's just, yeah, it's our perception. So that just was amazing. And then I heard another thing, like this parable or something, but a guy in a canoe started out and it was now and it was the present. And then he went forward a ways. And then when he got there, it was now and it was the present. And where he had come from was the past and it was, back there. And then he went forward again and it was the present. But so it seemed like past, present, and future. But like if you go up high enough, it's all one. So there you get into the linear versus non-linear. So yeah, but it's so exciting about consciousness unfolding. And each of us are exactly where we are supposed to be in this evolution or whatever of consciousness. We're exactly like born into the exact place, perfection of our spiritual development.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just
What
my
book,
Yeah.
what book is that you're referring to?
the map of consciousness explained. Dr. David.
Hawkins.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just clicking. Like it's just, I don't know. It's amazing. It's just in my mind and, just expanded. And he said, even you introduced us to that map of consciousness and explained it, but he said, even looking at it like raises your consciousness because it all makes sense. It all makes sense. And then you see, oh my gosh, if we're here, then it's just natural to come higher. I don't know. I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, but yeah, I just love.
Yeah, but you know what? You're hitting on some really, really that really speak to me. I love David Hawkins in it, but what he spent what 39 years study to come up with this map of consciousness that he did, and how he proved what he could, but understanding that science isn't the end of the study, even though it was a scientific study. So when we take that, and as he does, into the spirituality without mentioning in any particular religious order or anything like that, you realize that there's keys in there that you've just touched on some of them, like actually you didn't say it this way, but past, present, and future are all now. It is that is what it is all now. And when we start looking at the perspective of how that is a truth, then it unlocks so much for us, but it also releases us to go into another place of observation, because we are the observer that creates, right? The past, present, future, and now. And we can alter, we can change the past and future because it's now. And you run out of words, actually. Run out of words. What else? You said something else.
They were all born at the perfect
Sorry.
time.
That we're all
the seriousness of oneness, I wonder, is that on our list of not being? No, it's not on our list, so probably we're going to decode that mystery. That mystery of if you think I'm making fun of you, I am. No. Uh, that the oneness. I was challenged today with the understanding that that God created us as though we were his dream. Think about that, right? We are the dream of God. We understand dreaming because we create through dreams. So if we're in the dream of God, then and we are created as he is, we are God that is dreaming. Have I confused you yet?
I'm just going to throw in that that's my new study.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm doing a deep submerging. I want to know.
Yeah. All right.
What does it mean? We can say we're one with another, we're one with God. But what is actually that?
Yeah.
And how does it affect our lives? And what does that understanding of that actually do? Because I think that is the tool that is, I don't like saying weapon, that's not what I mean. It is the catalyst to
You're frozen, Gina. You're cute, but you froze.
understanding that list. Oh, hello, am I here?
No,
Okay.
no, yeah, you look
I'm
very,
glad
you look very
can you
cute
hear me now?
actually, but you were not there. You look good doing it.
Oh, well, to be announced.
Okay, keep us informed. Maggie.
Yes. First of all, in terms of what Gina said earlier, I would love to learn more about the night watch. Just throwing that out there. But just going back to time, if I may, thank you, Helen, for sharing this amazing, time with us about time. It's just really an encounter that I had with time that I wanted to share. So my sister was going back to her country. She was getting a plane, and my husband was dropping her to the airport, and we were running out of time. We were not going to make it, and it was difficult because she's come a long way, and we didn't quite know what we were going to do. But I said, let's pray. So I said this prayer, which was around if time could just be bent, if it could just hold on for us so that she can. And I was thanking God that she's going to get this flight. But I knew it was pretty much impossible because the time was running away. It was like 5 minutes left to, but I kid you not, she got the plane. And when she got into the airport, there was more time.
Wow.
So got to figure that one out.
Yep.
I just wanted to share that with you.
That's awesome.
That's number 2 on the list, and we're just going to add that to the folder as evidence. No, I love that, Maggie. I love that. I wonder how many times in our life that kind of thing has been important for us to be conscious of, right? I love that in this shift that we've all found ourselves, and we found ourselves in this room, that shift into into consciousness, that things like time and those things we don't see as impossible, or we don't see as victims anymore. They're happening so frequently, we're testifying so frequently of exactly those things that it's encouraging. And I feel like the next step we are going to go into as they become our supernatural natural, is, if you will. It's probably a bad term, but it's really, I love that you thought about that. Like, can you bend time? And we study time, and yes, time can be bent.
Yeah.
So yay, that's so good. Did you want to say something, Gina? No,
No,
or you just,
all good.
okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Pat.
I was reminded of when we had time together quite some time back about Godspeed. Remember we had that? And that is something that I'll be driving and the time is going by really quickly. And I'll just say, no, Godspeed. And I'll hit every green light and I'll arrive on time. And it's the same thing about time, right? And just using it as a different word. But yeah, I do that frequently. So it's cool. And he always comes through.
Yeah.
And the time changes. Like you think, well, I'm not going to get there on that time, but God will get me there. So Godspeed. So it's cool. Anyway, it works.
You know what I find that is a thread that goes through these testimonies that I absolutely am so ecstatic about, is that God treats each one of us as though we were his only child. You know, that so many of these situations are becoming they're personal because they affect us one at a time. Sometimes they affect more than one person, but they affect us. And I feel like he's saying, you're on the right track. Let me cooperate with you. You know, let me teach you. It's just this cooperative that we co-create with him, that we co-live in him, and it's absolutely precious. And when we share them like this, I feel like all of these, I could go on this screen, and many that aren't here tonight that share these kind of things, and they're becoming more and more frequent as our consciousness evolves to the truth of that. Who said that? From phone to everyone. Last month I had 4 different clock. Can you read that, Kathy?
Yes, last month I had 4 different clocks and even my wristwatch all stopped working at the same time. I said, Lord, what are you wanting to teach me on time? And here you are teaching on time. Thank you, Helen. I'm still not clear what he's wanting to say to me, but I know I now have information that I can ask him more questions about.
Lovely. More questions is really good.
Yeah. Abraham also posted just privately to me. He said, food for thought, meditation on oneness. I've never been separate from God, and nor can I be except in my mind.
Right. We're with you. Yeah, I love this oneness. Doesn't it create such first of all, our love is unconditional, but it stops judging. We stop judging each other. That's such a good thing. Just, oh golly. Yeah. Very cool. Caroline, you
I've freaking forgotten how to put my hand up, so don't worry. I'll just wave around. What I was going to say was I'm still learning the time thing, and I did have a few years ago an actual time. Somebody called it time travel. It was basically 2 hours went back, and that was another experience. But so I often go back to those things and say, well, that must mean it works because I've had it. So I can enter into it. But what I was going to say was I'm still learning to trust what God says and what I say. And then twice in the last few weeks, because we're doing a lot of stuff at the moment and everything's a bit pushed for time. And I've been late for 2 appointments. And so I can't believe yet that if God says he'll get me there in half an hour when it's 1 hour, that it'll happen. Sorry, but I'm not there yet. But what I can believe is that he'll make it all right. And so amazing. So, like he helps us a lot. And the first time I was going somewhere and got there and the lady wasn't, and I was like 10 minutes late. I mean, you don't do that. And she was completely not ready for me yet. And then the second one was I was there 30 minutes late because it doesn't matter why. And when I got there, I said I'm meant to be meeting so-and-so, but if it's too late now, I'll have to make another appointment. And she came out and she said, oh, I was in a meeting. I completely forgot. So God made it perfect both times. Yeah. And expanded. What I'm just saying is, well, I'm that far along the journey, but if it helps anybody to know that you can do these things in increments and you get there in the end. I'll be where all of you are soon, but just getting there now. So I just wanted to say that. Thanks. And where's the hands up thing? Where is that?
The hands up thing is
in the reactions. If you look in reactions.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
I don't mind if you just we'll be courteous to each other and just speak up. It's absolutely fine. Absolutely. Miss Susan. Oh, can I interrupt just
Sure.
Carolyn? You're absolutely right too in sharing. I love that you're sharing the STEP program, as it were, because that's all part of the reality. And I don't think it's any less supernatural than experiencing a time journey, because the fact of the matter is whether we are transported in time or whether the hand of God is on the meeting or the situation that brings it about so that you aren't affected negatively by time. What's the difference? It's in him, and it's lovely.
Right.
I love it. It's so good. Okay, Susan, sorry.
Helen, I just have a question because I've missed a couple weeks because of some other commitments that I had. But have we got a time and a date and a place to have a meetup? Did I miss that when that was?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. What we have is a desire and some information being gathered to choose to do it, and that is something that we're doing.
Okay. I'm intending. I just thought if I had a place to intend for, I would do that.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping it comes up by next week.
Oh, good.
I think it's good for people to have time to think and to intend.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. What we're talking about is having a meeting in Winnipeg, some kind of retreat, just a gathering. So we're pretty central to just about anything. It might, anyway, that's what we're talking about, so that you know. All right. How are we? I'm looking at all your lovely faces.
I just wanted to, this helps clarify for me a healing testimony that I heard one time. And it was about a man that had been on a ladder and fell off, and it was a severe fall and had really some complicated back problems and issues for years. And his testimony was that he was transported back in time before the accident happened. and he was instantly healed. So, but y'all talking tonight, and especially you, Helen, saying that we can control that, it gives me a lot greater understanding of, I think what happened to him was, it was a moment in time when God transported him. But the Lord tells us that it's in Habakkuk, if that's how you say it, about how the world will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord. And I believe, I'm kind of like, Gina, I want to know how all this stuff works. Yeah. And you do too, Helen, and probably everybody else. Yeah. And so this is kind of filling in for me that we actually can have the knowledge of that portion of glory of how we can go back in time or go forward. But when he went back in time, he was not sick he was totally healed. And it was an instantaneous healing. And because it was before the accident happened. So he was whole and complete. And this is just really, really fascinating. I don't know if that was bending time, or I think before, I really didn't know how to kind of frame that. I heard it years and years ago, but it's always stuck with me because I thought, anything that happens to anybody can happen to us too. And so, that's always kind of rattled around in the back of my brain. And this really helps. We're such powerful beings in Christ. It's just amazing. And this is the only group that I can speak this way with. When I try to speak this way with other groups that I'm in, it just doesn't fly. And I would like to introduce them to some of this, and this one group that I facilitate, I'm afraid I'm always so careful with them, but I'm afraid I cross some kind of invisible line, with just going too far on it. But I just love this group because this is how my brain works. is the way that this group works. And it's just amazing. I would like to have any more information anybody has on, when you become the witness, that you can go forward in time or backward in time. And you're such a wonderful teacher, Helen. You can put into words things that, I can kind of rattle around in my brain, but to try to put it into words, let alone teaching somebody else. You are just so good at that. It's just a phenomenal gifting. And I just so appreciate this group. And it's just, because I think y'all are like me. My life just keeps opening up more and more and more. And you get freer and freer and freer. And I think this is who we are. That's who we are. Yeah. Could you say, I don't want to take up, too much time or anything, but could you say anything more about how when we witness, we can go back in time or go forward in time?
Could I, could I put that to next week and maybe present some thoughts on exactly what you're saying? It's called reconstruction. We can reconstruct the past so that we can move so we change today and then we create a new tomorrow. And for me to go into it now without laying the foundation of that wouldn't be good. Would you come back?
Oh yeah, I'll be back. Thank you.
Yeah. I can't even pull up the folder on that one to help right now, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I'd never heard that particular testimony. I'm grateful for it because it certainly goes above and beyond, our current processing, but not really, because what we actually are heading for is to see from
Mhm.
in heaven as it is, or on earth as it is in heaven. So even though heaven is here, is
Mhm.
on the earth in us, positionally, that is what we are heading to understand. When we start governing from there, and when we start positioning from there, we're going to see things. And what happens from that vantage point that I'm understanding as I'm studying in that is that we get to see a broader picture, and then that broader picture actually brings in
Mhm.
understanding that to the very questions that we're asking.
Yeah.
And the cool thing right now is so many of us in the same space are asking the same questions.
Mhm.
So we're not pulling at each other. And none of us are meaning to be in like to showboat anything. Nobody has the whole answer. We're getting it because we're coming together as one for it. And so it creates that dynamic effect, that dynamo, right, which is self-generating. And that's what we're doing. And I appreciate your kind remarks, but I truly feel all of us here are the teachers. All of us here bring our supply and bring and it's such a gift to see everything put together and challenge us to more, right? Because
Absolutely.
it gives us permission. It gives us that
Yeah.
beauty. And nobody here's on first, by the way. Like we're all in it together as one, and it's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Thank you for your comments. That's all.
Thank you.
Cheryl Miller, you just slipped in at the very end here, and I haven't met you before. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just new to all of this, and one of my Ascension groups sent me this, and I just got it.
Oh,
So sorry I'm late.
well, would you like to be added to the list?
Yes, I would, dear.
Okay, would you send me your email and I'll do that?
My email is Cheryl, SHERYL .miller@outlook.com.
Miller ER at
ER, yes.
Outlook.com.
Yes, outlook.com.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We try to keep the meetings from 7 to 9, just out of respect for a lot of people. It's a school night, and we're all different time lines because we go from Africa, New Zealand, England. Where are you from?
Sorry. I'm from Calgary, Alberta.
Oh, okay, awesome.
And so what time zone is the 7 o'clock?
At Central.
Central.
Central, yes. You're Mountain, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You're just an hour behind, so it's 6 o'clock your time.
It's 8 o'clock my time.
Are you ahead? No. Oh, you don't change your time. Is that it?
Yeah,
I
where
think
I'm
what
at.
It's 8 o'clock now, Cheryl. Yeah.
Yes,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you'd be
At 6
because
o'clock, you'll start.
we start
Yeah.
at 6 o'clock Mountain.
6 p.m. Mountain.
Yeah. And
Okay.
My
and
kids are going to move to your area. I can meet you soon in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right on.
so anyway, welcome.
Thank you.
And we
Thank you.
will I send out the invite a couple of hours before the meeting. I don't send it out days because this is the easiest way for everybody to get it. So you can expect it around 4 o'clock your time.
Okay. That sounds good.
All right.
And what time
Helen,
is you?
Helen mentioned that you can chat it half an hour early.
Yeah, if the meeting proper starts at 7 o'clock, which is 6 o'clock your time, but I open it up to chat half an hour early if people just want to come in and we just share our lives.
Oh,
And
nice. Okay, that's great. And you meet Tuesdays and Thursdays, right?
no, Wednesday. This
Wednesday.
Wednesday
Okay,
only.
sorry,
Wednesday.
sorry.
Yeah, this is
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay, that sounds, yeah, that's right. It's Wednesday. I'm sorry.
But I love you already. You're outside of time and you're just going with the flow. It's perfect.
That's great. Super. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, nice for you to drop in. Guys,
Thank
it's
you.
been a great evening and we really appreciate, totally appreciate you. Thank you, Abram, for your input. You're welcome anytime, of course, Cheryl. And Maggie, get some rest. You're in the middle of the night. It's dark out. I love you all. May God bless you and keep you and make his face shine on you, be gracious unto you, lift up his countenance upon you and grant you his shalom. Nothing missing, nothing broken.